This is going to make people mad. Trans woman loses case over Brianna Gay X posts. Now, it's not, I'll go into it just now, but basically, you've all had to deal with the trans activists, right? At least like the left wing ones that are maniacs. The ones that say you're literally killing us while they try and use state violence to kill you and get your human rights violated and stuff like that. Yeah, those ones, those fun ones. Those ones that have no self awareness whatsoever. A trans woman who complained to police about social media posts made by a gender critical man has lost a High Court challenge of the force's decision to take no further action against him. So basically, this person snitched to the Stasi and was hoping that this poor little man would get dragged away to a camp and have his human right to freedom of speech violated, because that's just the type of people these people are. They harp on about human rights while simultaneously violating a lot of human rights, right? That's just what they do. And they were so upset that they didn't want to send the man away to the gulag that they challenged the police's decision in court. That's how hardcore of a snitch this person is. See, for a bunch of people that claim to like hate the government and hate the state, they fucking love snitching, don't they? Fuck the police, ACAB, defund the police, and they're the first to snitch. As soon as you say something, they're the first to, hello police? Oh man, like, did you just misgender me? Police, that? Like, yeah, they're the first to snitch. They're narcs. They're little narcs. They're practically feds at this point. Lindsay Watson, real name I'm sure, complained to Greater Manchester Police in February 2023 about more than 15 posts made on X by Stuart Campbell. Who do I side with? Who do I side with in this scenario? Do I side with the authoritarian trans activist or the fucking Campbell? Sophie's choice. Sophie. Sorry, for those that don't get it, Sophie, I know, alongside Lilith, is like the #1 trans name. That was the joke. Related to the murder of teenager Brianna Gay, who was also transgender that month. Mr. Campbell, who was described by his lawyers as gender critical or a biological realist, said Brianna was a trans identifying boy, adding, human beings can't change sex. Being murdered doesn't alter that. GMP told Miss Watson in November 2023 that no further action would be taken, and huzzah for the police for doing that, because they've arrested people for a lot less. Maybe the police are finally starting to realise that we have these things called rights that they're supposed to protect. They're not supposed to be going around knocking on the doors of Facebook mums and sending them away for long sentences because they said some unsavoury things about the new Brits, as they're getting called. Replacements. GMP's, I've just read that. One officer said that while he agreed the comment would be upsetting and can be perceived, that, well, there's that word again. Remember, we were talking about the police's own hate crime operational guidance handbook. Basically, the thing that was enough for a charge was not for any matter of fact thing. It didn't even come down to the police officer's decision. Basically, if the victim simply perceived that what that person did came from a place of hate, that was enough for an arrest. Even if a passerby perceived that it came from a place of hate, so basically the thoughts in your head. So, for example, like, just to give you an example of this, if I'm walking down the street and I bang into a gay guy, like, most of them you can't tell if they're gay, right? You know, if very well dressed, very well groomed, okay, maybe. But if I banged into him and he turned around and went, "Hey, watch where you're going," like, then that's a little bit of a giveaway, right? However, most of them don't do that, right? But if I just banged into someone and I went, "Watch where you're fucking going," and I kept walking, see, even though I have no idea if that guy's gay or not, right? If that guy says to a police officer, "I perceive that he did that because I'm gay," arrest. That was it. That was in the. If you don't believe me, it's the police's hate crime operational guidance handbook. You can download the PDF and just look up the word perceive. It's all the way through there. Yeah. So the fact is, they're saying it could be perceived as hate, and they still didn't make an arrest. So that's a very good sign. For me, this would be a hate incident and not a crime. So basically, the guy probably got a little mark put down on his non-crime hate incident report, which is costing people all over the country a lot of jobs, and people are getting marks on that little secret permanent record with the police for absolutely dumb reasons. Like, for example, there was a guy who, like, 3 years ago found out that he had an entry on that little record that cost him a job, and wait to hear this, it's because he had an England flag hanging in the back window of his van, and it was the person in the car behind him that says, "I felt threatened and intimidated by that," and they snitched on him to the police. Now, they didn't charge him with a crime because it's not a crime, but they've recorded that on his non-crime hate incident report. And the guy basically lost a job because of it, and he had to petition the police for like a year to get it removed, but it was too late. The position had been filled, and he lost the job. It was an absolute joke. Because that stuff, see, whenever you're going, depending on the career you're going for, companies can request that, and a lot of them are doing that. So there you go. Following it, Miss Watson took legal action against the force in April last year, and GMP upheld its decision last November after a separate review. Following a hearing in Manchester in February, Mrs. Justice Hill dismissed the claim, finding the decision to take no further action was both lawful and correct. I would also agree, because this Campbell, although he is a Campbell, he has the exact same human rights as everybody else. And that's how everybody knows that I care deeply about human rights, where I say that even Campbells have human rights. The ruling came the same day the Supreme Court ruled that the terms women and sex in the Equality Act 2010 refer to a biological woman and biological sex. God damn, that's 283. Good things come in threes. We've got another one to get. Hopefully it will happen soon. The judge said GMP was entitled and correct to conclude that posts did not cross the threshold to be considered objectively grossly offensive. So they were trying to nail him with Section 127 of the 2003 Communications Act, Paragraph A, posting grossly offensive material online. Why do I know that? Why am I so well versed? Well, you all know. Also because I've worked with so many people that have been charged under the same law. She continued, the defendant's conclusion properly reflected society's fundamental values of free speech. If only more of them in the state actually thought like that, including the need for tolerance of statements and opinions that some might find offensive or upsetting, because that's correct. Just because you found something upsetting does not make it against the law. Right, I find that offensive. I found that upsetting. That made me start shitting and farting all over my room. Like, okay, sounds like a you problem. If you don't like it, switch the telly off, shut the computer down, go outside, touch grass, and the grass can fucking dead name you as well. Right, who cares? Right, just walk away. How is cyberbullying real? Switch the PC off. You're fine. I get horrible shit said to me all the fucking time. I'm fine. People have stopped calling me fat because I'm not fat anymore. Apparently some people are kind of annoyed that they've lost that one. But anyway, to have done otherwise would have been an unjustified interference with Mr. Campbell's freedom of expression. Oh, if only that was the ruling in my case. If only that could be the ruling in every bloody case. Right. He said the hurty things. Yeah, okay, well, he's got human rights, so fucking suck it up, buttercup. Brianna, at 16, was stabbed 28 times with a hunting knife by two teenagers in Linear Park, Culcheth, near Warrington, Cheshire, on 11th February 2023. This one I don't agree with. This genuinely was a terrible tragedy. This was awful. After seeing Mr. Campbell's post related to the teenager, Miss Watson responded, her family care, her friends care, I care. You hurt a lot of people here. Do not misgender that girl ever again. Mr. Campbell concluded a subsequent exchange with a post containing an expletive which said, I call him what I like, mate. Okay. Okay. Right. That was a good one. I'll give you that. But you're still a Campbell.